In the headlines, bandits killed divisional police officer and 6 others in Gondwell in Niger State. House of Representatives proves 77 oil firms over 2.6 trillion naira revenue. Nigeria's inflation rises above 15% as fuel scarcity affects prices. And Ukraine leader says Russian demands during talks are becoming more realistic as Poland calls for a peacekeeping mission to Kiev. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Zainab Bala. Good morning and welcome. Now, at least 7 security operatives, including the divisional police officer in charge of NASCO, Magama local government area of Niger State, have been killed during a gun duel between joint security operations and bandits. The Niger State Police Command's Public Relations Officer, DSP Wasiu Abiodun, who confirmed the incident, said the DPO, 2 other policemen and 4 vigilante members lost their lives during the gun battle. Reports say the incident happened on Tuesday when bandits who attempted to launch an attack on NASCO, the headquarters of Magama local government area, were engaged by the security operatives comprising the police, military and local vigilantes. He said the area commander, Kwantagora, had drafted reinforcements with the military personnel to the area to forestall breakdown of law and order. The command condoled with the families of officers and vigilante members who lost their lives in the unfortunate incident, while reassuring the public that the command will not be deterred or relent in its effort to curb banditry in the state. Gunmen attack on the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency NDLEA head office in Ebonyi State left 1 officer of the agency dead on Tuesday. The state police spokesperson Lovett Order confirmed the incident, noting that a patient undergoing rehabilitation at the agency's rehabilitation center also got killed during the attack. Order added that security officials who fought hard to repel the attack were able to kill 2 of the gunmen, with others escaping with injuries, where the attackers were said to have entered the facility by scaling the perimeter fence at the back. She said security agencies were still combating the bushes around the area in search of the injured gunmen who escaped. According to the spokesperson, some of the items recovered from the gunmen include 140 rounds of K2 ammunition, 36 rounds of GPMG live ammunition, 30 rounds of AK-47 rounds of ammunition, and SUV motorcycle, military and police uniforms and charms. Involvement of Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps Commandant General Special Intelligence Squad in the fight against vandalism, illegal bunkering and crude oil theft in the Niger Delta region is yielding positive results. 19 suspects involved in the transportation of illegally refined products have been arrested in Delta State and the product confiscated. Delta State NSCDC Commandant Akinsoya Abiodun, while parading the suspects in Asaba, restates the command's resolve to go after vandals. Drivers of the tankers loaded with 45,000 liters of illegally refined automated gas oil and another 40,000 liters of same product said they were only paid to transport the product. However, the commandant said they will be charged to court to face the law.
Within 48 hours of arrival of this tactical team, a lot of arrests have been made. People that are dealing in illegal petroleum products. We have 8 trucks arrested and 19 suspects. They were arrested along Ugeli Ogwachuku Road on their way to outside the states. And this, we have been giving warning to them. We have also destroyed some camps. We didn't leave that one alone. Our own anti-vandal squad equally arrested a trailer truck along Patani Road.
On our way expressway from Bayelsa to Warri, before we reach Ogele, there where they arrest us with this truck on carrying AGO.
You just told me to go and transport it from Agwachuku to Asaba here. That's all.
This arrest made were handed over to us. Investigation continues. By Monday, unfailingly, some of them will be taken to court, and we are sure that they will start cooling their heels in the prisons. By the time we make 2 or 3 scapegoats, others will look for a tangible means of livelihood.
Moving on, Senate on Tuesday moved to amend the Proceeds of Crime Recovery and Management Bill 2022, passed by the Chamber on March 9, 2022 last week. The decision to amend the bill followed the consideration of a motion of recommittal sponsored by the Senate leader, Yahya Abdullahi. The report.
In his presentation, Senator Yahya Abdullahi relied on Orders 1B and 52 subsection 6 of the Senate Standing Orders 2022 as amended to move for the amendment of the bill. On the need to amend the clause 74 of the bill, Abdullahi noted that implication of the amendment involves a civil forfeit will be a thing of the past in Nigeria, as there will not be final forfeit without a conviction.
The Senate recalls that the Proceeds of Crime, that's the Recovery and Management Bill 2022, was passed by this distinguished Senate on Wednesday, 9th March 2022. The Senate observes that some fundamental issues which require fresh legislative action emerged after a critical analysis of the bill, and considering the amendment that was made to Clause 74 of the bill, which placed the burden of proof on the investigating agencies but not on the defendant, which was the recommendation of the Joint Committee, and contrary to the provisions of Article 12, subsection 7 of the United Nations Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime, which provides as follows, and I quote, Section 7, states parties may consider the possibility of requiring that an offender demonstrate the lawful origin of alleged proceeds of crime or other property liable to confiscation, and relying on Order 1 subsection B and Order 52 6 subsection 6 of the Senate Standing Orders 2022 as amended, Senate resolved to rescind its decision on Clause 74 of the bill as passed and recommit same to the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters and Anti-Corruption and Financial Crimes with a view to exploring safeguards against abuse.
The Senate thereafter recommits the bill to the Committees on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters, Anti-Corruption and Financial Crimes to engage relevant agencies with a view to exploring safeguard against any form of abuse.
The Senate accordingly resolved to rescind its decision on Clause 74 of the bill as passed and recommit same to the Committees on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters, and Anti-Corruption and Financial Crimes with a view to exploring safeguard against abuse.
The bill, when signed into law, will, among other things, expand the mandates of existing statutory institutions to manage proceeds of crime, facilitate the establishment of departments in relevant organizations to manage forfeited assets, as well as provide for effective legal framework for recovery of proceeds of crime.
House of Representatives has vowed to provide an accountability mechanism to ensure effective and fair administration of national resources for the good of the citizens. Speaker of the House, Femi Gbajabiamila, made the statement while declaring open a public hearing on the outstanding debt owed to the Nigerian government by oil and gas companies operating in the country. The report.
Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, while declaring the investigative hearing open, insisted that it is now time to stop playing the ostrich and speak truth to the government. He reminded stakeholders of the importance of paying up on their liabilities, which in turn will enable the federal government to finance its 2022 budget, warning that failure to do so will attract the full consequences of the law.
To underscore the importance of this exercise, let me make a bold statement that if there are companies that either prevaricate or refuse to cooperate in this exercise, it may be the first time in the 9th Assembly, maybe even in history, that we will need, or I personally will invoke the provisions of the Constitution and how whoever is responsible or does not cooperate with the committee, have him arrested under the provisions of the Constitution. That's how important this exercise is. If true, 2,600 billion is not child's play. And if it is true, we need to recover that money.
Chairman of ad hoc committee also vowed to employ all legal means to recover this debt, regretting why government will be borrowing when there is enough internally generated revenue to fund its budget. The lawmakers said the committee will leave no stone unturned in the recovery of over 2.6 trillion naira owed by oil majors in form of royalties, levies, taxes, concession and rentals.
Is either out of negligence that people are colluding, that these companies get away with it, or that people decided on their own to scuttle the process of good governance in this country. Because all over the world, I know of a truth that tax evasion is a serious crime, and people don't get away with it and walk around the streets if they don't pay taxes. And it's only in our country here that we take it with levity.
77 companies were indicted, out of which 51 have paid up its liabilities, according to Native reports, while the Federal Inland Revenue in its submission said 70 out of 77 has tax obligations to tune of $1.79 billion.
The disclosures were either taxes in various forms, and then the other was payment of royalty. And we are concerned about 2019, and our report emphasized that these payments were not made as at and when due as at 20th of December 2020. 20th of December 2020. So whatever happened after 20th of December 2020 can only be captured by a relevant report in 2021.
So total amount outstanding as of 1st February 2022 is $467.69 million. And out of that, MPDC owes $440.068 million. That's 94% of that amount.
Invited to testify at the hearing are the Minister of Finance, Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Niger State Development Commission, Upstream Regulatory Commission, Midstream Downstream Regulatory Authority, Nigerian Content Development and Monetary Board, and the Accountant General of the Federation.
Still talking legislative matters, House of Representatives has resolved to investigate the circumstances that led to a train conveying passengers from Lagos to Ibadan running out of fuel midway during the journey. This followed the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance by the minority leader of the House of Representatives, Ndudi Elumelu. In his motion, Elumelu said the Nigerian Railway Corporation was for the purpose of easy and cheap movement of bulk goods and commuters from hinterlands to seaports and vice versa.
When our Nigerians were actually traveling from Lagos to Ibadan, Mr. Speaker, in the middle of the night, the train stopped. And the excuse that was given was that there was no diesel, or that diesel finished. And this is not the first time that some of these things are happening. And when it happened, it put our citizenry in risk. What is happening now, where people can be shot at or kidnapped, that gives room for that kind of situation. So I feel that this House should look into this matter and even know what happened. Why should there be recklessness on the lives of our citizenry to the extent that a train will stop?
There you go. You're watching Trust TV News Update. Coming up. Aged women in Jos take charge of stone-breaking business widely dominated by men. Details of this story and more after the break. Do stay. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Trust TV News Update. Here are our top stories. 7 security operatives, including the divisional police officer in charge of Nasco, Magama local government area of Niger State, have been killed during a gun duel between joint security operations and bandits. House of Representatives has vowed to provide an accountability mechanism to ensure effective and fair administration of national resources for the good of the citizens. Still ahead, Yobe State government will sign a memorandum of understanding with a private university in Egypt to carry out kidney transplant at the State Teaching Hospital for indigents suffering from the renal disease. The State Commissioner for Health and Human Services, Dr. Muhammad Lawal, said this while listing the state government's health intervention plans that includes partnering a pharmaceutical company in a bid to reduce the cost of medication.
Partnership with the drug for the drug company. We are signing as early as in a week or two time, and afterwards we'll start receiving the Drugs and Medical Consumables Agency will start receiving the drugs, and then of course it will be given to the facilities. For the free dialysis, that has been ongoing since 2018. The program is ongoing and people are really benefiting. For the citizens of the state are actually very grateful to the government of Yobe State. Anything that will bring respite to the sufferings and alleviate their plight is always a welcome development. And this is what the government of Yobe State, under His Excellency, the Honorable, the Executive Governor, Honorable Mai Mala Buni, is always to, come, to assist the people, to alleviate their pains and sufferings and make life easier, and of course thereby safeguarding their health and well-being. These are all priorities of the government of His Excellency.
Elsewhere, some elderly women in Jos, the Plateau State capital, have overtaken men in breaking stones into smaller pieces for sale. Men are known to engage in this manual labor for livelihood. Dixon Adama reports that the business is no longer exclusive to men. His report.
The elderly women not only showed dogged determination, but proved that they are masters of this stone-breaking venture.
I thank God because I reached 15 years to do this work. They bring my power for me. I dey get power because this work where they do. They make me they help my children for school. I dey get something where I go talk. I thank God for that one. And if they make me they strong for my body.
I start this work. It's reached 20 years now. But I've trained my children inside the thing that I'm doing it, and I'm getting strength in it. So that's why I depend on it. I'm eating food with it. It's the thing that I'm eating with it now. So the same thing, I train my children with the stone that I'm breaking it.
Many now embrace stone-breaking job in Jos, owing to the abundance of hilly rocks in the state. Such rocks are used for various purposes, especially in construction.
These women you've seen, I've known them for over 25 years. We are neighbors with them. And I appreciated what they have been doing for that long time. What they are doing is only the Lord that is strengthening them. And they have the zeal, they do it happily. But still yet, it's just for the fact of, our nation. We would have appreciate people like this to be assisted by government or private institutions like the NGO, so that more young men too would have been accommodated in the job. It's a way of living, but a lot of us didn't know it. They build houses, they pay school fees, and support other people.
Sabongeri Tudunwada Quarry, opposite St. Moses Catholic Church in Jos North local government area of the state, attracts these elderly women who say the job keeps them healthier, stronger, and gives them unique strength.
What the men can do, the women can do even better, the popular saying goes. And these women have shown that what the men can do in this respect of breaking stones, they can do even better. Many of them have been breaking these stones for so many years, and they have been feeding their families with it and assisting their families and their husband along the line. Some of them too have said that the stone breaking is always giving them strength and they hardly fall sick and all of that. So it's expected that the government and other interested bodies should come to their aid so that they can continue this line of business, and then they can have so many things to do for the society and for themselves. For Trust TV News, just Dixon Salami Adama reporting.
A very interesting story there. Now let's talk business. National Bureau of Statistics says Nigeria's foreign trade deficit hits 1.94 trillion naira in 2021 compared to 178.3 billion recorded in 2020 as the cost of importing commodities exceeded the value of its export. Statistician General of the Federation Simon Harry said this during a press briefing held at the NBS headquarters in Abuja. The report.
Based on International Mechanized Trade Statistics Manual and the use of investors exporters window for exchange rate and updated data sales for NBS data sources were adopted as a methodology. Accordingly, during the fourth quarter of 2021, total trade stood at 11 billion 707 with export trade value of 5 billion 766 and import trade billion value of 5 billion 940, which recorded a negative trade balance of 173.96 billion naira.
The report said that Nigeria's foreign trade grew 58% to 39.8 trillion naira in 2021 from 25.2 trillion naira the previous year. According to the report, Nigeria's export trade valued at 5.766 trillion naira is mainly dominated by crude oil.
In terms of export, ladies and gentlemen, the Nigerian export trade was mainly dominated by crude oil, which amounted to 426 billion naira, representing 74.04% of the total export during the fourth quarter of 2021. This was followed by natural gas, liquefied with 573.85 billion naira, representing 9.95%. Floating of submersible drilling platforms with 265.33 billion naira.
Harry also gave figures on Nigeria's main imports.
Urea, whether or not in aqueous solution, with 208.05 billion naira, representing 3.61%. On the other hand, major products imported were motor spirit, value at 1,443.91 billion, representing 24.31%, followed by durum weight, value at 397.19 billion.
The report also brings to light Nigeria's major export partners.
In exports during the fourth quarter of 2021 were one, India with 874.86 billion naira, Spain with 789.23 billion naira, France with 485.35 billion naira, the Netherlands with 423.85 billion naira, and Indonesia with 288.10 billion naira.
Nigeria's top import trading partners during the period under review were China with 1.65 trillion naira, Belgium with 613.28 billion naira, India with 430.38 billion naira, the Netherlands with 416.52 billion, and the United States of America with 340.36 billion naira. Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And on the foreign scene, Russia-Ukraine talks will resume on Wednesday, with Ukrainian negotiators saying there is room for compromise. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says Russia demands in peace talks are becoming more realistic. Meanwhile, Prime Ministers of Poland, Czech Republic and Slovenia visit Zelensky in Kiev for talks and have expressed solidarity and support to Ukraine. About 29,000 people were evacuated from Ukrainian cities through humanitarian corridors on Tuesday, most from the besieged city of Mariupol. And that's it on News Update. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Zainab Bala. Thanks for your time and company.